Second clash between Chinyere versus Sunshine. We have pawn to e4, e5, knight to f3, knight to c6. Now we have bishop to c4, the Italian opening. Now bishop to c5 from the board. Now Sunshine has won the first game, and the draw here would secure her a win to the next level. But here she has to hold her ground as pawn to d4 comes in, pawn takes, and now the best move here, bishop to b5, but she goes for a check instead. Now the knight comes to c3. Now the best move according to the engine is knight to f3, f6, but she plays the move pawn to h6 here, and white simply castles. Now white has a very nice position from the opening, and she must try to use it to the best of her advantage. Now the move pawn to bishop to g4 on the board, queen to d3 was played here, which is one of the best moves, and now black shot castles. So in this kind of position, white needs to be aggressive as much as possible in order to put some pressure on the opponent. Now the best move in the position is bishop to c4, but she now drops back bishop to g6. Now the best move here is to play pawn to d5, but here she blunders by playing the move rook to e1. Now can she find the best move? Yes, she finds it. Now the move pawn to d5 is such a strong move. Attacks the bishop, attacks the pawn, threatening a fork also at the center of the board, and it's something that she missed, a slight error that she had missed in the position, and she decides to bring her bishop back, and now pawn captures. Now rook captures, and the best move now is to play the move knight to d5. The idea behind this move now is to play the move knight to f6 and then win the rook for free. But can she find it? Oh no, she decides to just capture the rook instead. She decides to capture the rook instead, and now the queen recaptures. So now queen comes to d7. Both players are trying their best. Now bishop to c2. Now although white is an exchange down, but she has enough compensation with the two bishops on the board, the bishop, the light square and the dark square bishop, and now she retreats. Now the queen, the knight comes into attack by attacking the bishop, and the bishop drops back immediately to h2. So yeah, both sides need to give in their best, and because it seems like no one is really going for a draw in this position. Now the last active piece in the board comes into play. Both sides are fighting it out, representing their states and trying to make a legacy for themselves in the chess community. The rook comes in, and now the knight comes back to b6, one of the best in the position. Now the best move for white in this position according to the engine is to play the move pawn to g4 to try and open up the position, but here she plays the move check, and the king comes in. Now the idea of pawn to g4 would have been to open up the light squares of black. Now the best move now is pawn to f5, but she plays the move knight to a5, which is an inaccuracy. Now the bishop comes back now to a2. And now both sides are really giving it their best here, and you can see that the other game in the other board has just ended. Now the move pawn to c5, a very strong move in the position, inducing white to make a weakness, which she actually does. And now when the rook possibly comes to e4, you can see that this can become a very weak pawn in the position, and she finds this. She plays the move rook to e4. Now you can see three attackers are attacking the c4 weakness, and that was the idea of the move pawn to c4 earlier on. Now she comes under tension and then plays the move rook to c1. Now it's an interesting move because the best move now is she finds it rook f to e8, putting a serious pressure, and she blunders attacking the knight on a5, but she doesn't know that now the knight can capture the c4 weakness and can go away scot-free, and she shouldn't exchange this bishop for the knight, and she reaches out and she does it, and now the evaluation bar has swung full throttle on black side, and it's something that's very painful having such a position and then losing it suddenly, and it's such a good character seeing how black is fighting for a win even when she needs only a draw to secure her spot in the next round. and now the bishop comes out now to f4, trying to find enough compensation on the board. Will she find the best move on the board? The best move actually is king to h7, but she plays the move rook to e6. So here, a move like pawn to a4 might come on board, or queen to c3. Well, let's see what white plays in the position. It's such a painful experience having to if white can lose the second game, but it's something that Sunshine is really fighting for, giving it her best, and then hoping to come out with a clean sheet and a clean record in this game. Now, to some of the viewers that were asking about the last where this game was played, it was played at the National Sports Festival, Ogun State. You can check out the last video on the description to find the link to watch the other one. Now the queen comes to b1, attacking the f4 pawn, and she plays the move pawn to c5, pawn to c4, now advancing the pawn closer to promotion. And now the queen slides in now to b4, possibly trying to give a check on f1 and try to complicate matters on the board, but she decides not to take any risk on the board by playing the move rook to e1, rook to e8. Now both sides are running low on time. They are down to their last 2 minutes 30 seconds, and now the bishop comes back to e6 to e3. Now the best move according to the engine now is to play the move knight to d7 and then reposition the knight on a better square. But here she goes for the queen and then places the queen now to c6, defending the knight and also threatening to push the c pawn down the board. Now the best move here is Rick, and she plays the move queen to b1, and the knight comes in now, attacking both sides, and then now the bishop has fallen. It's much easier now for black to continue this position, and king comes in, the queen comes to c5, and the board is still on fire. No one is fighting for a draw here. Both sides are pushing for a win, and she has a tactic on the board and she finds it. She plays the move pawn to f4, attacking. Now if the pawn captures, the knight falls, and if the king moves, the pawn still falls. So now the knight comes, attacks the queen, and then pawn captures. The queen cannot capture because she has a pass pawn and a rook versus a knight. So now the king has to step back, and now the best move is queen to f5, but she plays the move queen comes to the center, leaving the pawn hanging, but the idea is to sacrifice the c pawn in order to have a strong e pawn, and the pressure keeps getting intense. And now queen takes pawn, and yes, the g2 pawn falls likewise. So it's quite a strong battle here, and hoping to see how the game turns out to end. Now the queen comes to d3, and now we have the check by black, queen f2, and after the king moves, now we have pawn to e2, and I think it's curtains from here because according to the engine we have mate in 7. So thank you so much, and if she looks at the board, tries to find if there's any other way to go about it, and she sees that there is none. So it was such an attacking game by both sides. Both sides tried their best to play for a win, but Sunshine got the better half of this game. So kindly like and subscribe, and check out the link in the next video. So thank you so much. She resigns, and that is the end of the game. Do like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching, and then see you in the next video. This is the Chess Prof signing out.